Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, it's Labor Day, I guess, and so some of you may have the day off, sleep it in or late, just having a relaxing day, I guess. I guess it's to, celebrate all of us worker slaves out there that, are keeping the system going, right? Millions of welfare depend on you, so keep out there and work hard, because you gotta support all the politicians and everyone else on welfare. I was talking to a friend the other day. You know how it's common for us, I guess, modern Western people, we compare things that are going on to movies, right? It feels like we're living in blah blah blah. And that happens a lot. So we were talking, and I said, I feel like we're living somewhere in between Demolition Man and Idiocracy. That's kind of what it feels like. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. And I think there's a lot of reason for that, like purposeful intent to get us that way. There, at one point in time, Americans were known for their rugged individualism and independence and self-sufficiency and intelligence, science, medical, all these types of advances throughout the last 100 years have predominantly come from the United States. And still to this day, some of that's true, but honestly, it's almost like we stopped making great scientific advances. We just started kind of regurgitating stuff. And the masses of people in the United States, it just seems like the overall intelligence level is just dropping. Public education is no longer that. I mean, it's public, it's indoctrination. That's been that way for a long time. But it's just to create as complicit and complacent worker bees, right? To get people dependent upon the system and to divide the people. That's really what a big part of it is. And so we're finding ourselves in this country that, we look around the rest of the world and we see things that are looking pretty rough and bad, and it looks pretty rough and bad right here. But the big thing is that kind of stands out is that people are they're just like incapable of thinking and reasoning and figuring out what's going on and seeing through lies and deceptions. Like I said the other day in a video, I think that this is a big part of the purpose for what's going on. It's to divide us. It's to tear us down. I've said for years, pretty much since I started making these videos, is that the big globalist evil cabal, their purpose, their goal is to bring America to its knees. And the reason is, it's not because they just hate America. It's because America has always been that symbol of freedom, right? Maybe not so now, but at once it was true that the world looked to America, and the bad guys in the world knew they could only go so far, and the people around the world always looked to, we want to be like America, we want to use their money, we want to follow in their footsteps, because someday we might be great like America. And these evil globalists, they knew if they ever wanted to implement their diabolical evil plans, they had to stop that, they had to end that. And so there's been this constant destruction of America's culture and values, so that there's no longer that pride in this country, and there's no longer that desire anywhere else to be like America. They knew that they can't implement their full plan as long as a strong and independent and kind of rugged America stands. And so there's been this plot to destroy America, to destroy Western values, to destroy Christian values, to destroy traditional moral principles. It's not just been a coincidence, I believe. And so that's what we're seeing happen. We're watching it every day. If you get online, if you watch the news, if you go out in public too much, you'll see it. You'll see that there's no decency anymore, at least not that much of it. And the lack of intelligence is just astonishing. This is for a purpose, folks. And this is what I'm really talking about when I mention often on this channel about how America, the West, we're collapsing. It's not because our currency is losing its value. I mean, America could stand and the currency collapse, and then they come up with something different. I mean, there's all kinds of ways they could make that happen, and America still stay on its 2 feet. Wars, all sorts of problems that's happening. While they're great and they're, have significant impact on us, I don't think any of those on their own are the cause of America's collapse. I think America's collapse is just, it's lost its soul, it's lost its direction, it's lost its decency, and really in the end, it's taken its eyes off of God. We've become just another godless, immoral nation, just like everywhere else. And while America always was that to a certain extent, at least America tried. At least it appeared that America tried to be better. And so we're watching America fail, not because of its economic policies or its geopolitical policies or anything like that. We're watching America fail because America's turned its back on God. And it's turned its back on decency and on morality and just being good and smart and a cut above the rest. We've become okay with just being like everyone else. And because of that, America will fail. It's not going to be a different president that changes that or anything like that. In fact, you could make a pretty decent argument that these traits that I'm speaking of are found in both political parties and both current political movements. As much as I'm not here to necessarily pick on the conservative Republican MAGA crowd, all of these things that I've mentioned, I've seen in those groups and have been promoted. In fact, when Trump first ran for office in 2016, it was really, courting the Christian right, and that it was a Bible-based Christian campaign, and now it's just not so much. And I see a lot of the conservative MAGA people, being very anti-Christian. So it has nothing to do. The political movement is not for any kind of real moral, biblical decency. It's about winning for their guy. And so it doesn't really matter to me in that respect who gets in the office, because we're going down the same path regardless. One may be going a little bit faster than the other, but the destination is all still the same. And it's because this is how it's meant to be. This is how it's supposed to be. It's spoken of throughout all of Scripture. And it amazes me how the end has been predicted for a long time, and those that have the eyes to see and the ears to hear can know for a good part of it of what's going to happen, and yet we still see it happening and do nothing about it. We still get caught up in it and don't recognize that what's going on. We've watched Christian churches in the United States become so watered down that they're no different than a social club or a nightclub. We've watched families walk away from what has just always been decency and moral values. We've watched people just seem to, I don't know, lose their minds, I guess. I don't even know of a better way to put it. But the point is that this kind of stuff, to me, this is the collapse. This is the falling apart, the destruction of America. I mean, will the American name and title and flag always still stand? Maybe under some different guidelines. But what once was that made us great is collapsing. And even if there isn't some big apocalyptic end like in a Hollywood movie, we're watching the end of just decent people, of moral people, of intelligent people, of just humane people. And that on its own, to me, is worth getting yourselves prepared. I mean, look at what's going on in the city streets of America all over. And it's not just the big inner cities anymore where it's typically high crime. We're seeing it everywhere. Just immoral behavior, indecency, debauchery, stupidity, insanity on levels that we've never seen before. And for me personally, that right there is enough to just, start getting my family and myself prepared. Start teaching my children, which we've always done, and that's what you should start doing if you're not. And not just teaching them at home academically, but actually teaching your children what is right and what is wrong, and protecting and shielding them from this evilness out there. Because it's just getting worse, and they need a solid foundation. Finding your tribe, finding the people that are similar in beliefs to you, so that you can be that iron sharpening iron, because you're not going to find that with just any general church or general conservative people anymore. I believe we are in the dark ages. We're getting into that point, and it's probably going to get worse for a while. And that on its own is a reason for me to get prepared and to become more self-sufficient and to disconnect from the status quo. I've spoken for years that there should be, for folks like us, a sort of cultural secession where we see this evilness and this what was once weird has now become normal, and we secede from that. We say we no longer want to be part of that, and we walk away. And we create our own little subgroups. We're going to start seeing that more also. This evilness it's here to stay for a while, and it may be permanent up until the end. And we need to recognize that and not just say that it's some kind of fad or a trend or it'll get better eventually. We need to take notice of it and see that this is not just a fad or trend, but it is a very clear, distinct motivation to move not just a government or a country, but its people and its moral standings far from where it once was. And we have to be prepared for that. We have to get ready. We have to have a plan of how to protect our children from this, protect our families, our grandchildren, the innocent, our beliefs and traditions. They're all being warped and manipulated. And that, too, is something worth preparing for. So when I tell you to get your houses in order and prepare, I'm not just talking to you about stocking up on bullets and beans and rice and that kind of stuff. I'm also talking about how you need to be prepared to protect your family and to raise your family outside of this evil, corrupt system that's being built all around us. The books are being changed. Everything's being changed. And if you don't have a way to raise your children, raise your family, teach them, and protect the ones around you that you love, your tribe, your community, whatever it is, then you may go the way of everything else and everyone else in all of this. It's time to get your houses in order, folks. And I mean it. It's time to prepare yourselves. because these dark ages are upon us. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.